Michael Thomas apparently had delayed surgery on his ankle till mid to late June, which, you want to spend time with family, whatever. I understand that. I'm not even mad at him for delaying the surgery. It rubbed me the wrong way, right? But now there's reports coming out that he ignored the Saints for 3 months. Constant phone calls. Now you've got a problem. Because if you remember last year, Sean Payton and him had riffs of, he didn't want to work too hard. He was starting to be a little prima donna-ish after he got paid. The New Orleans Saints have one route to go with this. There's only one option. Because you're under a new regime now. Drew Brees is not there to fill the void of leader. Drew Brees retired. It's no surprise that since Drew Brees has retired, Michael Thomas has now acted like a complete jackass. There's a huge correlation here. Because Michael Thomas now feels like he doesn't have to answer to anybody because Sean Payton has already let him go with so much. So why do I listen to you now? I've always done what I wanted. So now I got paid. Now I'm your best player. And no, I'm not. No. The New Orleans Saints have to trade Michael Thomas today. Now, realistically, that won't happen because it's 9:30 and they need to try to mend the fence with him. But that is the route they need to go. They need to trade Michael Thomas. Now, Tyler, what can you get for him? Well, not a lot. At this point, you're not looking at a first-round pick because of the ankle surgery and the fact that he really doesn't have a lot of routes he can run. So, at best, you're looking at a second-round pick to start. Then you add the massive contract that a team's going to have to take. So, that limits you to basically either A, a rebuilding team, or B, a Super Bowl contender that feels like he's the missing piece. But you're going to have to pay some of that, and you're going to have to probably give up a third or a fourth. I'm sorry, you're going to have to settle on the fact a third or a fourth is probably what they're going to give you. Now, can this be fixed? Of course. Of course it can be fixed. Do I think Michael Thomas is a prima donna? No. Do I think he is starting to feel himself a little too much? Absolutely. Because Drew Brees made you a top 5 wide receiver in the game. He got you paid because he knew he needed your reliability in the red zone, and especially in the middle of the field. Now, where do you go, right? Because Sean Payton has been a notorious disciplinarian guy. Drew Brees going there is what made the players start to relax. And Reggie Bush is very vocal about the fact that if Drew Brees was on Sean Payton's side, the players knew they were wrong. If Drew Brees was on their side, they knew that either Sean would come around or there would be a compromise of some sort because Drew Brees wouldn't just stand up for them just because. Now the problem in New Orleans is who the hell listens to who. Because Taysom Hill doesn't have that stroke.
No.
Jameis Winston can't avoid tackling dummies. Cameron Jordan and Demario Davis are probably going to be the two guys that have to talk to Michael Thomas. But a wide receiver typically gets more love than a pass rusher or a linebacker. Now, granted, they're both top 5 in their own respective regards. Right. And Marshawn Lattimore is too young to really boss around Michael Thomas because I think they came in a year apart.
A draft apart, yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
So
they were college teammates.
Yeah. So Michael Thomas and him probably have more of a, you right. Yeah, I know I'm right. Yeah, you right too. Exactly. Okay. And by the way, Marshawn Lattimore still trying to get paid. Mm-hmm. So that also is something Marshawn Lattimore is not going to really worry about till he gets paid. And then there's Alvin Kamara, and Alvin Kamara doesn't seem like the type of guy that really gets angry. He just seems like he's I'm happy to be here type of guy.
Well, unless you're Derrick Henry, a lot of running backs don't get angry.
Well, I mean, I would say Saquon runs angry too, but that's Bo knows.
I don't think his personality is necessarily.
No, but I feel like Saquon would get up in your face if he had to. The bottom line being here, New Orleans has a problem.
Carl, to answer your question, yes, Kamara got paid last year.
Yeah, Alvin Kamara was the first one they paid. That's why. Well, I guess Thomas would be the first one they paid.
Yeah, I think they were only 2 months apart or something like that.
But yeah, no, there's a big problem in New Orleans right now. And to be quite honest with you, I love the fact they re-signed Ramsick, but I'm ready to tear the house down. I'm ready to trade Cameron Jordan. I'm ready to trade Marshawn Lattimore. Keep CJG.
Or
No.
GJ, Gardner Johnson. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Yeah.
There you go.
So, I mean, New Orleans is in a tough spot. But it goes back to this whole notion, right? The inmates run the asylum. And if for some reason the NFL players are so jealous of NBA players because NBA players get to basically say, I want to work this day, I'll work that day, and they get away with it. Michael Thomas did nothing wrong by delaying his surgery. Let me make that clear. You go in for surgery when you feel like maybe he tried to rehab it and it didn't work. And then he was like, you know what, I tried to rehab it for 2 months, it doesn't work, now I'm going to get surgery. And with COVID, who knows, maybe he couldn't get an appointment for 3 months. I'm not saying he's wrong for that. You cannot ignore your teammate. You can't ignore your team, especially ownership and management. Because I guarantee you, Joe Schmo watching this show right now, if you do that, you have no job. You have no job. You got none. Zero. You will not have a job. You can't even ignore your boss really a day. No call, no show. Most people are getting fired. Now, again, he didn't no call, no show. But delaying surgery for 3 months without an explanation could be taken very much the wrong way. It could be perceived as, screw you. A.K.A. Kawhi Leonard, San Antonio. That's the parallel. It's the exact story. I don't trust you. Nah, I don't feel like going to your doctors no more. Nah, I don't want to play. I can't play. Well, let my doctor try you. No, I don't want to. Are you sure? Yeah, I'm positive. I don't want you to test me. No, I don't trust you. It's the same exact story.
Snug says you can ignore your boss for a couple of days if you send over a dozen cupcakes.
You know, Snug, I'm glad he just chimed in, actually. I've never received a cupcake from you. I've never actually been even asked if you could send me a cupcake. And quite frankly, I've heard you ask Errol multiple times for cupcakes. So I'm very upset. I thought I was your favorite. And it just hurts immensely that you don't offer me a cupcake. But that's fine.
He just sent me some decals, so maybe he's starting to get back into the giving mode.
Oh,
and Snug likes you, so.
He loves me.
Yeah.
He. I thought he was like the biggest advocate for me to come back. Are you coming back? No, please. No.
Oh, he missed you.
Oh, he missed me a lot. And it's all right. It's really hot. Snugs, send me a water bottle. Don't send me a cupcake. Send me a water bottle. Or an AC unit to put in Errol's house. It's hot. But yeah, it's hot in New Orleans too. And if I'm Michael Thomas, I'm packing my bags. Because there's no reason. New Orleans is rebuilding. That's not a secret. It's not really hidden. It's the offensive line will get them through this year. Alvin Kamara and Latavius Murray will get them through this year, regardless of how good or bad Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston is. Or, not Ian Book. Is it Ian Book?
Yeah, it is Ian Book.
You laugh. I think Ian Book's going to play a lot. I think Taysom Hill will be back to what he was with Drew Brees, the Tebow guy. And I think Jameis is going to play himself out of a job. He's got all the arm talent in the world. Jameis Winston's a top 10 quarterback if he can just get his mind in.
Yeah.
But the problem is Jameis Winston hasn't figured his head out yet.
Yeah, that's going to be a challenge for Sean Payton to have to do. And Jameis Winston just came from another very good quarterback-type coach in Bruce Arians, and he still threw 30 interceptions with him. And
he had, 40 fumbles? 40 turnovers with fumbles?
Yeah, add that in the mix. I know he still threw 5,000 yards, but again, you have Bruce Arians to help you, you have Chris Godwin to help you, you got Mike Evans to help you, you got Cameron Brate to help you.
To be fair, Chris Godwin wasn't really...
He was good.
He was good, but he wasn't Chris Godwin now.
It was his best season, though, 2019, statistically. In 2018, he was good in a smaller sample size because he didn't play that whole year because they still had Deshaun Jackson at that time, and they still had Who was it? They still had Godwin emerged later. Was it Vincent Jackson they still had at that time too, or I think he might have retired by then. But definitely Deshaun Jackson was still there.
Yeah, Deshaun Jackson was there.
And
Mike Evans.
Evans was the number one, obviously. I thought
O.J. Howard was there.
O.J. Howard was there, yeah. So, yeah, there were guys in his competition, and Godwin was still very productive at certain stretches in the year, though, too. Last year, obviously, he played with Brady, where if he's a slot guy, he's going to strive. Thank you, Carl. Adam Humphries, that was the one that was missing, yep. And, yeah, so he wasn't getting the same amount of reps, too. Jeff says, Jameis got murdered by a tackling dummy. The league has moved on from him.
Who said that?
Jeff.
Oh, Jeff's here. Yay!
Yeah, Jeff's arrived. He's started to troll you already, too.
Yeah.
Shout out to Ben in the comment section as well with the popcorn emoji. And Jeff also says this was going on last year, too, while Brees was still there.
Exactly. But Drew Brees could rile him in. He has that cliche. He has that clutch. You're not talking to Brees. You're not talking to Brady. You're not telling Peyton. You're not telling even Philip Rivers. You're not talking to these guys that way. You're not listening to Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston. No. You're not.
Errol says, hello, boys, in the comment section.
Hello, Mr. Marks.
And Snug says, Humphries is the cousin of Stan Humphries. Snug, do you have any connections with either Adam Humphries or Stan Humphries that we should know about? Jeff says, fire Tyler.
Fire yourself. Fire yourself. But, yeah, that's how I feel about Michael Thomas. I would trade Michael Thomas right now. Today.
Mm-hmm. Now, I wanted to ask you, because you said you could only get a 3 or a 4. You don't think you get a second in that deal?
You could. It depends on the team.
Because Julio Jones has got a 2 and a 4,
well,
and he's
right.
older.
Julio Jones is healthy.
But he's older,
Julio Jones
too.
isn't a knucklehead.
I understand that.
Julio Jones doesn't have a massive
better
contract.
Receiver at his peak, yes. I'm saying in terms of the fact that Thomas is a lot younger, and this was the first year he really had injury problems. I feel like you could still get a second from that. From, again, a team that needs that kind of player. You're not going to get a 2 and a 4 necessarily from like you're saying, a rebuilding team, but a team that might think that, all right, maybe we want this second guy that could go along, this, or even a number 1 guy to a lot of teams. I think there would be teams that would give up a second for that.
So I've got a few teams I could go get them. Now here's my thing, right? It's not about. So you want to talk about Julio, who got a 2nd and a 4, right? Yeah. There's a huge difference between Julio and Michael Thomas. Julio can run any route. He can go any direction on the football field, and he's going to do what he has to do. Michael Thomas is a slant guy. He's not beating you with speed. He has good hands.
Yeah,
but he's not breaking away from his corner.
Yeah, he's not a massive, I guess, deep threat the same way either. I would give him more credit as a route runner than just a slant guy. I think at times they had to use him as that because they became not necessarily a run-first offense, but when it looked like Brees' arm really didn't have the same strength on it anymore last year, it looked like they had to limit it to that just to have an efficient enough offense. Because Sean Payton's offenses are always efficient. It's just a matter of how creative they could be in certain seasons. And a lot of seasons they were. But I think he had to become more of that slant guy. So he got that notion from a lot of people because of that. I wouldn't go as far as that. But yeah, he doesn't have the same speed or deep threat ability or obviously physicality that Julio did by any means.
So that's why I don't think you could get a first for him. I think a first is off the table.
Not with that contract.
But I do. I if you remember my exact quote, I think a 2 is what the Saints are starting at.
Yeah.
Depending on the team, they might be able to talk him down to a 3. But if you're giving up a 3, you're giving up a 3 and a 4 and something else. Mm-hmm. Off the top of my head, I think the Jets make perfect sense. I think the Patriots make perfect sense. I think Baltimore makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I think
all the receivers banged up in training camp already.
Well, not even that. I mean, Lamar, his skill set would help Lamar Jackson immensely.
Yes, for sure.
Because Lamar Jackson is not a good football quarterback, right? So how do you help a non-accurate quarterback? You give him a slant guy that's going to run 5-10 yards out, and he's going to make the catch.
Carl also adds the Bears into that mix too.
Yeah. But if you're Chicago, you could just draft somebody to go next to Allen Robinson. I don't know if I'm giving up a 2nd or a 3rd and a 4th. Or do you really want to do that to Chicago?